Welcome to Jason's Jewels. I'm your host, Jason Alexander. And today we're going to be talking football, and even more football. But before I get started on the football, let's talk a little college football, okay? I ain't going to say I got a beef with college football, but college football has not been as entertaining starting off the season as it normally is. And I think I might know why. Well, I think I might know why. But my theory is that because of the new playoff system that allows 16 teams into the playoffs, these teams, these schools are not scheduling games the way they used to schedule them. You know, we used to get a lot of good out of conference football games on the weekends, and Saturdays would be lovely. You know, you'd have a great game at noon, a great game at 3:30, great game around 6:30, 7:30, and then a great game on the West Coast that would kick off around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Nowadays, you might get two, maybe three good games, period, out of the whole slate, if that. And when I say good games, I mean good matchups. I shouldn't say good games. I mean good matchups. For example, last weekend we had Georgia and Tennessee. That was probably the best game to watch out of all the big team games that we had going on. Tennessee lost that game. They should have won that game. But at the end of the day, Georgia's Georgia. Kirby Smart is that man. And Georgia was able to pull out that victory. It was a great game to watch, fun game to watch. Now, that was a conference game. Now, other than Texas and Ohio State, can anybody name an out of conference football game that's taken place that was enjoyable in 2025? Nothing comes to mind for me. Florida State, Alabama, maybe, but Florida State beat the dog shit out of Alabama. It wasn't even that good of a game. So, can you even include that game into the mix when you say, give me a good out of conference game? That was a good matchup. Should have been a good game, but, it wasn't. And, that lets us know that maybe Alabama's not as good as we thought they would be. Maybe Florida State's better than we thought they would be, especially after the way Florida State played last year. But either way it goes, the point I'm trying to make is we don't have enough of these games to start off early in the season. And that's disappointing, but I get it. I absolutely get it. Because if I'm trying to make the playoffs, I want to win the national championship. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the main goal. My main goal is not going to be to satisfy the whims of Jason Alexander in mid-September because he wants to see some good college football matchups. My goal is going to be to make the playoffs, win the national championship. In my opinion, that's my theory, I guess, as to why college football is not as exciting as it normally is. Now, I know there's probably going to be some people out there who are like, man, you crazy as hell, man. College football is fun as hell this year. Well, maybe for you it is, but for me, I expect more. I want to see more. I'm in a college football pick'em contest at work, and we got to pick 10 games every week. And all I know is every week for the past 3 weeks that we've done these matches, done the college pick'em tournament contest, I should say, the games just haven't been easy to pick from. And I speak from experience because I picked the games this week and I was disappointed in the selections that I had, but I was able to make it work. I put 10 games down. So the contest is going to go on. But again, the point I'm trying to make is that college football has not been as exciting as it's normally been. And it's like, again, it's a little disappointing, but at the end of the day, I do love the playoff system. I'm looking forward to the playoff system. So if that's how it's going to be going forward, that the college football regular season is going to be, I hate to say non existent, but the regular season is going to be boring until we get to the playoffs, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to be what it's going to be. And we're just going to have to wait till November till we start getting some good matchups, some good conference matchups, and get to the playoffs to where when they start playing these out of conference matchups, we get the games that we have been wanting to see. Because as of now, games are booty, man. They're just booty. That's just the way it is. But anyway, on to my fantasy football update. Yes, my fantasy football team that I know y'all don't care about, but I'm going to tell you about them anyway. This week, took it on the chin, man. Took it on the chin. Played some team called the Lynn Station Moneymakers or whatever they want to call themselves, man. And they beat the absolute dog shit out of them. Now, I will say this. My team is still continuing to impress me because I have yet to put together the perfect lineup on a week more consistent basis. But it's only week 2. But my team's still putting up a shitload of points. Still got a shitload of points coming from guys on the bench. So it's just a matter of me figuring my shit out and getting it going to where my team takes off the way I know they can take off. with Justin Fields having a concussion and probably going to be out this week, I have no choice but to play Dak. So that's going to help me out a little bit. I drafted Dak as my starter. Justin Fields outplayed him in week 1, so I gave Justin a chance this week. And Justin showed maybe he should just be the backup. You know what I'm saying? So Justin's going to go back to the bench. Dak is going back in. I still need Jalen Hurts to throw the ball to A.J. Brown. If you just throw the ball to A.J. Brown, your number one wide receiver, my team will take off to heights unseen. But either way it goes, I like my team. I like my squad. And that is your fantasy football update for my fantasy football team that I know y'all don't care about. And it's all good because I'm still going to talk to you about my fantasy football team every single week. Now, on to the NFL. And because that's what we're here for anyway. We are here for an NFL digestion, NFL talk. That's what we are here for. And we're going to jump right off, getting into this Dallas versus the New York Giants game where the Dallas Cowboys won in overtime, 40-37. Brandon Aubrey he's proven to be the best kicker in the NFL. And the Dallas Cowboys should be grateful that they have Brandon Aubrey, because when I say this man is probably the best kicker in the NFL, I mean this man is the best kicker in the NFL. Not only did he kick a 64-yard field goal to tie the game to send it to overtime, but he kicked a 45-yard field goal in overtime with the clock expiring to win the game for the Dallas Cowboys, 40-37. Now, before I finish talking about this game, I will be wrong if I didn't say Russell Wilson. Where you been at, buddy? Where this coming from, man? This man threw for 450 yards. 167 of those yards and 2 touchdowns went to Malik Neighbors, and another 142 yards and a touchdown went to Wan'Dale Robinson. And if I'm not mistaken, Russ ended with, 450 yards and 3 touchdowns? Yep, 3 touchdowns for Russell Wilson. If there's one thing that we should take away from this is that Dallas secondary don't seem to be that good if Russell Wilson going to throw for 450 on you. And I also I didn't get to watch this game, but clearly they're not getting the pressure on the quarterback that they used to get if this man is throwing for 450 yards. You understand what I'm saying? Micah Parsons trade, man. I ain't saying Micah Parsons would have made a big difference in this game, but he probably would have made a big difference in this game. You understand what I'm saying? We're talking about a guy who puts pressure on the quarterback on damn near every play that he is in the game. And without that added element to the Dallas defense, it seems like they might get picked apart this year until they can figure some things out in the secondary, figure some things out on the D-line about getting some pressure on the quarterback. Because if Russell Wilson's going to throw for 450 yards on you, it's going to be a long year for you folks. I'm Dallas Cowboy fans. I'm just here to tell you, y'all need to fix that. Wan'Dale Robinson, straight out of Frankfort, Kentucky. Shout out to the Kentucky kid doing big things on the national stage. Wan'Dale has been doing pretty good up there for the New York Giants. And, I'm not going to sit here and act like he's on the level of Jamar Chase and all of them, but this man has been in the NFL for the last couple of years. He's earning a living, making his way. 142 yards and a touchdown for Wan'Dale on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. I know the family was happy to see it. So, hey, again, shout out to the Kentucky kid, Wan'Dale Robinson. Wild game, though. Very wild game. Dallas moves to 1-1 on the year. The New York Giants are now 0-2. Next up, Cincinnati Bengals. Boy. Joe Burrow is hurt once again. And this time it's turf toe. And this time he needs surgery. And this time he's going to be out for at least 3 months is what they're saying to us right now. Now, shout out to Jake Browning for pulling out the victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bengals won 31-27. Ja'Marr Chase had 169 yards receiving, somewhere in that area, and a touchdown. And one thing we know about Ja'Marr Chase is he's the type of receiver who makes quarterbacks better. So I'm not going to sit here and act like Cincinnati is going to be on the same path with Jake Browning that they would be if they had Joe Burrow. At the same time, I will say I don't expect to see much fall off from Ja'Marr Chase. Doesn't mean the Bengals are going to win. Doesn't mean the Bengals are going to do good. Just means that Ja'Marr Chase is probably still going to do Ja'Marr Chase type things. T. Higgins might do T. Higgins type things, but Jake Browning is no Joe Burrow. So I say temper the expectations, but what really are the expectations when you're in Cincinnati? I think one thing needs to be said, and if I'm not mistaken, Dan Orlovsky said something to the same nature of what I'm getting ready to say. But the Cincinnati Bengals front office is doing a disservice to Joe Burrow and Cincinnati Bengals fans, because there is no reason for them to have secured all the pieces that they need to be dangerous, but still not have yet secured an offensive line to protect Joe Burrow. Let me give you some numbers. So I got some numbers. Got some numbers right here. Joe Burrow, man, where'd they go? Having a hard time finding these numbers right now. But the point I'm trying to make is that Joe Burrow has been hit a lot. And when I say he's been hit a lot, he's been hit a lot. He's hasn't been protected. He's on pace. They're calling him this generation's Andrew Luck. And ladies and gentlemen, as good as Andrew Luck was, that is not a compliment. Honestly, I think Joe Burrow's a better quarterback than Andrew Luck. But if Joe Burrow's going to keep getting hit the way Andrew Luck was hit, then Joe Burrow's not going to have a long career in the NFL. And Joe Burrow's the type of quarterback who should have a long career in the NFL. You know, maybe if I don't want to say goes somewhere else, he might be protected better, but the front office has to do a much better job of protecting Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow is the future. Joe Burrow has shown he can be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Joe Burrow has shown he could be the top quarterback in the NFL. But he can't be that guy if he's on his back all the time. He can't be that guy if he can't walk all the time. He can't be that guy if his toe is hurting him to the point to where he can't put his foot down on the ground and put any pressure on it. You understand what I'm saying? How many times do we have to watch Joe Burrow get hurt because they can't protect this man? And next thing you know, the Bengals season is over. Because make no mistake about it, the Bengals season is probably over. Unless Jake Browning does some amazing things and is able to pull off victories that we don't expect him to pull off, the season's probably over for the Bengals. And I hate to see it because, in my opinion, I think the Bengals being really good in football is great for the NFL. You know, we have the Chiefs, who, enough said, it's the Chiefs. And I'll get to the Chiefs later, but it's the Chiefs. So we have expectations for the Chiefs. The Eagles, reigning Super Bowl champions, already off to a 2-0 start this year, looking really good. Ravens, I mean, best team on paper. They had the I don't even know what you call it in week 1. They just had a straight up brain fart in week 1, couldn't figure out how to close out the ball game. And then you got the Bills. The Bengals should be that 5th team in there with those 4 teams that I've mentioned. And notice I only mentioned one team from the NFC because I think the NFC is wide open, although I'm not going to shit on the Packers. They're boring to watch. They aren't fun to watch at all, but these dudes win. They know how to win. They know how to spread that ball around. Packers probably second best team in the NFC, but that's neither here nor there. The point I'm trying to make is that the Bengals have the potential to be a top 5 team in the NFL. And just think, if the Bengals could be as good as we expected them to be, we could have the Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers, all in the AFC North, battling it out for supremacy. And that's what we want to see. You understand what I'm saying? So if we can't get this from the Bengals, then that just makes things a little less entertaining for those of us who enjoy the NFL in its full capabilities. If we can't get the Bengals at their full capabilities, we're not going to get the NFL at its full capabilities. And if we're not getting the NFL at its full capabilities, then we're getting shortchanged, folks. Bengals front office, this is what I need y'all to do. I need you to send your scouts out to every single college, every single university that has a football team, and find you some damn offensive linemen. It can't be that damn hard. That's all y'all should be drafting at this point. Offensive linemen and defensive players, because your defense is ass, but I ain't even worried about your defense no more. I'm more worried about you protecting Joe Burrow. And if you can't protect Joe Burrow, then just cancel the season. You understand what I'm saying? Cancel the season, lower them ticket prices so we can get in and watch Lamar come put a beat down on y'all. You understand what I'm saying? Lower them ticket prices. Do something, because what y'all got right now, it ain't working. You know what I'm saying? Protect that man. Y'all need to protect that man, period. Anyway, enough of the Bengals. We'll take me a drink real quick. Now, on to the Steelers. And for the folks out there watching, I don't want y'all to think I'm picking on the Steelers, even though I'm kind of picking on the Steelers. But here's my thing. The Steelers and the Jets played a great game in week 1. Had me thinking the Jets might be a little bit better than I thought. Had me thinking the Steelers might be a little bit better than I thought. Then week 2 happened, and we saw the Jets get just absolutely murdered by the Bills. Thanks for screwing Jason's Jewel of the Week over. Appreciate you, Jets. Jets just got absolutely manhandled. Justin Fields leaves with a concussion. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they get manhandled. Well, I say manhandled. They got beat pretty good by the Seattle Seahawks, but the Pittsburgh Steelers only have themselves to blame. The game was a close game. Seattle kicks off to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Caleb Johnson, rookie running back, poor bastard. The new kickoff rules must have confused this man. I'm not sure, but he decided he wasn't going to field the kickoff when it landed in the landing zone. It became a live ball. Seattle Seahawks recover the football. They scored a touchdown. They go on to take the lead, and they never looked back after that. I believe the final score was 31-17, if I'm not mistaken. And again, I'm not trying to pick on the Steelers, but all I'm going to say is I thought y'all was better than that. I really did. And I know it's only week 2, but still, I thought y'all was better than that. Week 1 was maybe a mirage. It could be a mirage. I don't know. We're going to find out. But either way it goes, I'm dropping y'all a peg or two. I don't got the faith in y'all I had after I don't have the faith in y'all anymore that I had after week 1, after your performance in week 1. Because your performance week 1 was a really good performance. Aaron Rodgers was better than I expected him to be. But looks like he might have came back down to earth a little bit now that they had to play a real team as opposed to a gangrene team like the New York Jets. You know what I'm saying? Justin Fields might have been a little bit more hyped to come in and play against Pittsburgh. I don't know. Either way it goes, it was a good game week 1, week 2, whatever. Ravens rolled the Browns. Excuse me. The Ravens rolled the Browns. And I'm not going to stay on this game long because the only good thing about this game was the Ravens did not let up. They kept their foot on the gas pedal. They didn't let up. They didn't let the Browns back in the game. They didn't let them do a backdoor cover. Derrick Henry was held 23 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson threw for 202. Did I write that down? Nope, did not write it down. Lamar Jackson threw for about 200 yards. He had 4 touchdowns through the air. And after this game, he became the NFL's all-time leading passer in passer rating. So for all the folks out there who called Lamar Jackson running back, for all the folks out there who said Lamar Jackson will never be able to throw the ball, for all the folks out there who said Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver, spin dot. All y'all folks were wrong. Period. You're wrong, and you look stupid now. Period. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Now, all you can say about Lamar now is, well, he can't win in the playoffs. He don't win in the playoffs. That's all y'all got now. You can't say nothing else. You can't talk about his abilities as a quarterback. You can't talk about what he's done on the field in the regular season because this man's got couple of MVPs, and in my opinion, was robbed out of another one last year. But the point, either way it goes, I know it. I know it's to be true. He needs to knock off the Peyton parallels and win in the postseason the way we expect him to do. I mean, if we're going to be honest, there's not a better player in the NFL than Lamar Jackson. It's not a better quarterback. It's not a better player. If you want to say somebody's a better quarterback, fine, have at it. I ain't even going to argue with you. There's still not a better player in the NFL than Lamar Jackson. And all he needs to do is win in the postseason, and y'all are never going to be able to shut me up when it comes to Lamar Jackson. Once he wins that Super Bowl, he's going to be the greatest football player I've ever seen. If he wins 2 Super Bowls, he's going to be the greatest football player to probably ever play because we've never seen nothing like this, folks. Never seen nothing like it. You can talk about what Tom Brady has done now. He's the GOAT and whatnot. That's fine and dandy. Tom Brady can't do the things Lamar Jackson does, just like Lamar can't do the things Tom Brady does. But Tom Brady, the main thing he does is win. And the main thing he has is a competitive drive to win. If Lamar ever makes it to that level, which I don't think he will, but if Lamar ever makes it to that competitive level, we will see things that we've never seen. And we're seeing things from Lamar that we've never seen. I'm sorry. I apologize to talk about Lamar Jackson. Once again, I'm sorry for glazing that man over and over, but I'm just telling you, I know what I see, and I've never seen nothing like it before, and I'm highly entertained by everything that this man does. So go win the Super Bowl, Lamar. Damn. Swear. Starting to piss me off. Anyway, the Bills rolled the Jets. They beat the dog shit out the Jets. I mentioned it before. I'm going to mention it again real quick. James Cook had 132 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen didn't have his best game. It don't matter. They won. And that's all folks care about. As long as Josh Allen wins, he's the greatest quarterback ever. And he won again. Josh Allen, congratulations. Tip of the cap. Reigning MVP. Might win you another one this year. Off to a good start anyway. But again, Bills rolled the Jets. I really thought this would be a much better game than what it was. I thought the Bills might have an emotional letdown. I was wrong on that one. I thought the Jets might be a little bit hyped and ready to come play a divisional game against the Buffalo Bills, a chance to show that what happened in week 1 was not going to happen again. And the Jets, they backslid, man. They ain't got no better. They got worse. And hopefully they can turn it around. I got nothing but love for Aaron Glenn. I'd love to see the Jets be good. I got nothing but love for Justin Fields. Though y'all better sit that man out this week. The man got a concussion last week. Don't rush that man back. Don't rush that man back. Don't do that man like Tua Tagovailoa. Give that man some rest. Go and throw the backup in there. Let Justin figure some shit out. But the next game I want to talk about is the Eagles and the Chiefs. And the Eagles beat the Chiefs. And it was an all-around team performance by the Eagles. And I didn't get to watch this game, not as much as I wanted to. And it's all good on that. Had a lot going on this weekend. Great weekend. Shout out to OG. Happy birthday. Shout out to Jeff Jefferson. Happy birthday. Shout out to everybody that I got to see over the weekend. Great weekend. Real family reunion vibes. It was just good to get out and see my peoples and be with my peoples for the weekend. Shout out to my sister also. I see you. Oh, yeah. It's always good to see her as well. Back to what we're talking about. Eagles and Chiefs. Are the Eagles the best team in the NFL? If you're asking me right now, I say yes. I know it's only week 2, but the Eagles are doing what they have to do to win. They beat the Cowboys, easy peasy week 1. Now they go to Arrowhead. Went to Arrowhead for the Super Bowl rematch and beat the Chiefs. And truthfully, I saw the fourth quarter of this game. And when I turned it on, the Eagles were up 20-10 with about 4 or 5 minutes left, something like that. The Chiefs were able to secure a touchdown. They weren't able to stop the Eagles from getting a first down and running the clock out. So the game was over. Final score was 20-17, I believe, something like that. One thing I'm noticing about the Chiefs are 0-2. Let's see if I got that stat. First time that they're 0-2 since 2014, which was Andy Reid's second season as a head coach in Kansas City. So the question I have, is it time for us to have the Patrick Mahomes conversation? Is it time to have that conversation, or should we wait until next year and let this year play out and see how it plays out? Because the last 2 years, Patrick Mahomes has not been the same Patrick Mahomes who used to win Super Bowls. And I know he won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. I know they were trying to three-peat last year. But this Patrick Mahomes, compared to Patrick Mahomes who had Tyreek Hill, and compared to Patrick Mahomes who had a younger and more viable Travis Kelce, was a much different quarterback. Now that Travis Kelce is old, and remember, from the NFL preview, me and Quentin Walker told you, watch out for Travis Kelce. He looks old already. Take them unders. I'm still saying, take them Travis Kelce unders. The man don't look anywhere near as good as he used to. And I get it. Getting ready to marry Taylor Swift. You got other things going on. You got your podcast going on. I mean, football's on the back burner for you at this point. You got your rings. You got your glory. You out here getting your body abused over and over again. You're slower. You're not as strong as you used to be. You know, you ain't got much time left, Travis. And he's showing up on the field. Because if Patrick can't rely on you, Patrick's not going to be able to be Patrick. But again, we don't have to have this conversation now. We can wait till the end of the year. Just know that it's on my brain, and I'm putting it on your brain as well. Patrick Mahomes, that guy that he used to be no more. So we're going to see how good the Chiefs are going to be. Remember, Quinn Walker said Chargers coming out of there. I still like the Broncos, but the Broncos look like shit so far. Quinn may have got me on that one. Chargers might be winning the AFC West if things keep going the way they're going. But either way it goes, we're going to have that Patrick Mahomes conversation at some point. Yes, we are. Now, the other thing I want to talk about real quick before I do my quick breakdown for each game and give you my thoughts on each game, the Indianapolis Colts, ladies and gentlemen, the Indianapolis Colts are 2-0 for the first time since 2009. And they are led by none other than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is trying to rehabilitate his image as a quarterback in the NFL and is off to a good start in his rehab. He is thrown for 588 yards and 2 touchdowns with a 71% completion rate and has ran in 3 touchdowns as well. Yes, the Colts beat the Dolphins, which they were an underdog against, and then they turned around and defeated the Broncos this past Sunday after a penalty was called when kicker Spencer Schrader converted from 45 yards away to give the Colts the win. Now, he was originally kicking from 60 yards away and missed it, but a penalty gave him a second chance, and that second chance moved it up 15 yards. So instead of kicking a 60-yarder to potentially win a game, He only had to kick a 45-yarder to win the game. And as shown before, the 60-yarder was a little bit out of his range. He missed it, got the penalty, moved him up, moved him to the 45. What happens? Boom, game winner. Colts win 2-0 for the Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor, he's off to a hot start this year. And when I say hot, I mean he's off to a hot start this year, making me almost wish I would have drafted him, but my running backs are looking good in fantasy, so whole another ball game. But anyway, Taylor's looking good. He had 165 yards rushing on Sunday against the Broncos, which is saying a lot because the Broncos have a good defense. If you can run for 100 yards on the Broncos, you're doing something. If you run for 165, you're doing work. And on top of that, he also had 50 yards receiving, and he had a receiving touchdown. So he had 215 total yards and a touchdown against the Broncos. Next up for the Colts will be the Titans in Nashville next week, and they're currently a 3.5-point favorite. More on the Colts later. But before we get to Jason's jewel of the week, let's go through the rest of the week 2 games real quickly. And I'll drop a little nugget, drop a little jewel on each game that was played. Let me pull up these scores. NFL week 2. Commanders and Packers. Packers win 27-18. Again, boring game. Boring game. I thought it would have been a much better game, but it really wasn't. Score wasn't even as close as it was. You know what I'm saying? It says it was a 9-point game, but it wasn't. Jaden Daniels came out of this game a little banged up. His status is unsure for week 3. I think he's having some knee issues, but, sophomore slump, man. Sophomore slump is hitting that man. And we talked about it in the NFL preview that these sophomore slumps are real. Folks like to dismiss them. You have to be generational talent to get over the sophomore slump. CJ Stroud went through it last year. We're going to watch probably Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels go through it this year, amongst others. But I expected more from the Commanders. So we'll see if they can get things turned around. The Packers, I'm telling you, I think the Packers might be the second best team in the NFC after the Eagles. And again, like I said, they're boring to watch, but man, them boys, they get it done, man. Jordan Love is a model of consistency. And when I say he spreads the ball out, he makes sure everybody gets touches. You can't just hone in on one dude when it comes to the Packers. Packers might get 80 yards rushing from Josh Jacobs. They might get 215 yards passing from Jordan Love and a couple touchdowns. And they might win the game 24-19. Probably how their season's going to go all year long. But as long as they keep winning, that's all that matters. So we'll see what happens with the Packers. My second best team in the NFL or NFC right now. We'll see what happens as time goes on with each passing week. As again, it's only week 2. It's still early. So don't take nothing I'm saying to the bank. But this is where I'm sitting at right now. So, we'll see what happens. Rams and Titans. Rams won 33-19. I was at that game for the tailgate for the True Player Incorporated 25th anniversary tailgate. It was awesome. Awesome. Great to be there. Great weekend. Great atmosphere in Nashville. I wish the Titans could have done a little bit better. Pull it out for their fans. They got some loyal fans. I'm not gonna act like they sold out the stadium, but the stadium had a good amount of people there. The Titan folks in Nashville, they just want to see their team be a winner. They got the good young quarterback in Cam Ward, who threw a hell of a pass, by the way. Did everything wrong on the pass, but still completed the pass. So that's all that matters. And he showed a sign as to why he was drafted in the first place. But the Rams, they just dog walked the Titans. It was a close game for a little bit. Once second half started, that was a wrap. Rams just ran away with it. Rams get the victory, 33-19 over the Titans. Next up, Patriots and Dolphins. Patriots beat the Dolphins 33-27. Dolphins look like they're ass this year. And, maybe they'll trade Tyreek Hill. Maybe they won't. I don't expect a whole lot from the Patriots. Drake May, another quarterback, is probably going to go through a sophomore slump. Ain't been hearing a whole lot about the Patriots, but again, it's week 2. It's early. We'll see what happens as time goes on. I'd like to see Drake May be good. I got nothing but love for Drake May, but seems like there's some kinks he needs to keep on working on. So we'll see what happens. But good win for the Patriots. Dolphins, y'all look bad, boy. Y'all look bad. Y'all need to do something. Tua turn the ball over. 49ers at Saints. Okay, so the 49ers won 26-21, but Brock Purdy is hurt. Mac Jones came in the game. Well, Mac Jones started this game. I think he threw for 3 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. What we got here? Mac Jones, 3 touchdowns for Mac Jones. He threw for 279 yards. You know, he's no Brock Purdy, but I know one thing they said about this game was the players love the fact they have a guy who felt confident enough to come in and do what he's supposed to do. And they had nothing but love and a ton of belief in Mac Jones to get things done for them. And hey, I can't front. Mac Jones did what he was supposed to do. The Saints are probably the worst team in the league. Mac Jones got that win. That's all that matters. Did they cover? Spread was 2.5 after the Brock Purdy injury. So the Niners did cover with Mac Jones. Something to keep an eye on right there, ladies and gentlemen. So 49ers over the Saints, 26-21. Lions and Bears. Jared Goff threw for 5 touchdowns as the Lions defeated the Bears 52-21 in Ben Johnson's homecoming. And man, when I say they dog walked Ben Johnson and made that man look bad, they dog walked him and made him look bad. Amon-Ra St. Brown, that man had 3 touchdowns, 100. I'm not even sure. Let me see what he had. 100 and I know he balled out. 115 yards receiving on 9 receptions and 3 touchdowns. So, you know, you would have thought that Ben Johnson, who helped create this offense, would have done a little bit better against them, but he'll get another chance. But it's good to see the Lions turn themselves around. Got a little worried about them after week 1, after their lackluster performance in week 1. So it was a good turnaround to see. Maybe they were looking ahead to this game. Maybe they were just waiting for this game. I really don't know. But fact remains is the Lions pulled out the victory. They're 1-1. Next up, Monday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Ravens versus Lions. That's going to be the game of the week. That's the game I'm looking forward to watching this week. But we'll see what happens. Well, when they meet, because I don't know. We just see the Lions didn't look good in week 1. It was just the Bears in week 2. We're going to have to play a real team in week 3. So we'll see what happens with that. Seahawks, Steelers, Colts, and Broncos. Cardinals and Panthers. Really? The Cardinals won. That's all I got. Falcons and Vikings. This game came on Sunday Night Football, and maybe I was just tired. Maybe I was wore out, but this game put me to sleep. Shout out to the Falcons for beating the Vikings 22-6. I mean, the Falcons, they were in control of this game, you know, from start to finish. Pretty boring game. J.J. McCarthy, he looked pretty bad, and then he got hurt. So I don't know what Minnesota's going to do. You know, he's apparently out of the 8 quarters that he's played, he's looked good in one of them. And now he's hurt. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with J.J. McCarthy going forward. But for now, the Minnesota Vikings they're going to have to figure something out. You know, I had to figure something out because I don't see it getting too much better for him. Aaron Jones is out. He's on IR. Granted, Jordan Mason is probably the better back to be using anyway. But either way it goes, if you're only scoring 6 points against the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, what difference does it really make? Your starting quarterback's hurt. I don't know, man. Oh, no. I'm not sure who they got up next, but they better hope it's somebody like the Saints or the Jaguars. Texans at Buccaneers. Now, this was a good game. This was a fun game to watch. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of scoring, but it was a close game throughout. The Texans took the lead late in the game with, maybe less than 2 minutes left in the game. No. There's about 3 minutes left in the game, I believe, because I'm pretty sure the Buccaneers had to. Man, I'm old. I apologize for being old. I can't remember. I watched this game. All I know is this: the Texans got up 19-14. They went for 2, didn't get it. Buccaneers get the ball. They need a touchdown to win the game. They drive all the way down the field, led by Baker Mayfield, throwing darts all over the place. And they pull out the victory on a running play from Rashad White, 3 yards out. Boom, touchdown. Buccaneers win. Shout out to Quentin Walker. Shout out to the Buccaneers. Hey, look, Buccaneers are now, if I ain't mistaken, 2-0 for the Bucs. They got a big win against the Falcons already, and they got another nice win against the Texans. So I'm not sure who they have up next, but fact remains is they pulled out a nice victory against the Texans that they really needed. The Texans got to work on their offense. They got to figure some things out. But maybe they'll be all right. Maybe they won't. Hopefully, C.J. Stroud picks it up and figures things out going forward. Who knows, though? We shall see. as we move on to week 3. And the last game to talk about, Chargers versus Raiders. Chargers still looking good. 2-0 for the Chargers. The Raiders got a lot of work to do. For a team that is owned by Tom Brady, y'all look like dog shit. You understand what I'm saying? I expected more from the Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, Tom Brady-led Raiders. And I ain't saying they should have won that game last night, but Geno looked bad, folks. Geno looked bad. And that is something that the Raiders might have to deal with sooner rather than later. We shall see. We'll see going forward. But either way it goes, Raiders are not looking good. Fact remains is they need to figure it out. Because, like I said, you're led, Tom Brady's your minority owner. Pete Carroll is your head coach. I don't know. I expect a little bit more from y'all. So we'll see what y'all got, see what y'all can do going forward as week 2 has commenced and we are on to week 3. Now, let's look at some of the matchups that we got in week 3 coming up. I mentioned the Lions and the Ravens, which is going to be, I think, the game of the week, Monday Night Football. Hopefully we get the Manning cast back up there live for it. Injuries are starting to pile up, though. I mentioned Joe Burrow, and I mentioned J.J. McCarthy. Joe Burrow, he's going to be out at least 3 months with turf toe. He had surgery or is having surgery, so his return is unknown, but they're saying it's going to be at least 3 months. To me, that's the entire season. So, hey, Bengals, thanks for playing this year. Bengals front office, protect Joe Burrow. J.J. McCarthy out 2 to 4 weeks. Aaron Jones, he's on IR, running back for the Vikings. And J.J. McCarthy and Aaron Jones, both of them out. One on IR, one on not, but problems in Minnesota. Jaden Daniels, his status is in doubt. Don't forget that for the Commanders. Jalen Johnson, cornerback for the Chicago Bears, and one of the reasons that Amon-Ra St. Brown went off against them. He's out for the year. Justin Fields, concussion protocol. He should not play in week 3. New York Jets. Brock Purdy, he missed week 2. He should return soon, but it's still unknown. They're saying 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 5 weeks, but they're being a little bit hush-hush about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Mac Jones plays another week and then they try to get Brock Purdy back out there. But I will say this. If Mac Jones comes out and pulls the 49ers to another victory this week, that should buy Brock Purdy some more time to rest and rehabilitate properly. So we shall see. And also Khalil Mack, I don't know if anybody's watching the Raiders and the Chargers last night, but his arm got bent in a funny backwards motion. So I haven't heard nothing on him today. Like I thought I would hear something about him. I haven't heard anything. So I don't know. Maybe he might stick a brace on it and try to play through it. I really don't know. I don't know what his injury was. They never really said. I just know that we saw his arm bend in a funny manner and he came off the field holding his arm and he never returned to the game. That being said, week 3, some of the best games. We got the Bills and the Miami Dolphins are Thursday Night Football. Good buddy of mine, Chris Durham, thinks this might be a good game. Me, myself, I don't think it's going to be a good game. I think the Dolphins are trash. I think the Bills are really good, and I think the Bills will handle the Dolphins. I think they'll be able to do whatever they want against them. But I'm still probably going to take the under because Thursday Night Football unders always seem to come in through. They always seem to hit. If I ain't mistaken, the over-under on that right now is 49.5. So that's a pretty high number, I think. And I just don't see the Dolphins being good enough to put up those kind of numbers on them. And again, like I said, it's Thursday Night Football, short week. Unders usually hit. I don't know. Hey, have some fun. I'm taking the under. Why not? So that's what I'm going for. And if you think I'm full of shit, take the over. I mean, it's really that simple. You can take one or the other. So instead of being the dude that says, "Oh, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, your picks suck." Well, if my picks suck, take the opposite and you'll make money. You're welcome. Anyway, Eagles and Vikings, Steelers and Patriots, Colts and Titans, Texans at Jaguars, Falcons at Panthers, Rams at Eagles, Jets at Buccaneers, Raiders, Commanders, Packers, Browns, Broncos, Chargers. That should be a good one. Looks like a good one. Spread's only 2.5 in that one. That should be a good one. Excuse me. Saints and Seahawks, Cardinals and 49ers, Mac Jones versus Kyler Murray. That spread's only 1.5. 1.5 to San Francisco. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Kind of feel like Arizona might win that game, but you never know. Cowboys and Bears, Chiefs and Giants, and then the Lions at Ravens on Monday Night Football. So, yeah, folks, those are your week 3 games. No games really stand out like some big time games. Kind of goes back to the college football conversation I was having. But in the NFL, it's different. You know, with these games, you never know what's going to happen. You never know you just never know what's going to happen and how they're going to play out. So anything can go on in these games. Anything can happen in these games. And I look forward to seeing how they play out. I'll be playing full DFS this weekend. Looking forward to it. I didn't play that much last weekend, but I'm definitely on FanDuel playing a lot of daily fantasy sports for those out there who like to play. And at the end of the day, man, I think that's going to be all I have for this week's episode of Jason's Jewels. You know, it's a pretty quick episode, kind of rambled and ran through some stuff, but I did want to talk. There were some things I wanted to hit on, and I definitely got to hit on those things. Stay tuned for Jason's Jewel of the Week. I will be bringing that out to you as well. So stay tuned for that. But again, all I want to say is, hey, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to those who did tune in. Like, share, subscribe. When you see the YouTube link, like, share, and subscribe. Jason's Jewels, the best sports show you've never heard of. Come take this journey with me. Come take this path, and let's see what I can create. But anyway, this is Jason's Jewels, Week 3 NFL. Signing off. Jason's Jewel of the Week coming up shortly. Peace.